Howdy, Ben. How's it going, mate?
How's it going? Yeah, not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, doing good. Just in the gloom of London. I bought a nice ring light though, which, to be fair, I'm not really enjoying because I've got it like right behind my computer, blasting into my eyes all day. Um,
Yeah.
I think a good thing to chat about today is just what we think is going to happen in Outbound in general in 2026. 2025 was interesting. I would say lots of people had lots of new shiny things and they maybe worked for a little bit and then they got rid of them by the end of the year because people get the ick from AI and it turns out offers just beat out everything anyway. Um, so yeah, let's dive into what's going to happen in 2026. Do you have any bold predictions?
Well, I was having this conversation, been thinking about this a lot, where with cold outbound and cold outreach, like at what point does it get to where the AI is doing the outreach and then on the receiving end, an AI is responding to the AI that's doing the outreach? So like how how do we actually navigate that? Like what's your thoughts on well, firstly, when do you think that's gonna happen?
Yeah,
What's your thoughts on that?
yeah. It's mildly off topic, but I was watching like a Hank Green YouTube video talking about AI, and he was talking about how it's like introducing inefficiencies into the economy. Because like if you take CVs at the moment, like everyone just writes their CVs with AI, and then on the back end they use CV like AI to just read the CVs and find the candidates. So it's just like there is no process essentially. They just use AI and then using AI to get rid of the AI. And like I think, like you see, like when they rolled out like summarizing your email with AI at the top. It's so useless. And like I this like I'm not gonna read the summary by AI, I'm gonna read the email. Same with if like someone sends you a text. So know I don't know if that will be a thing. I think as long as humans are wanting to communicate with other humans by messaging them, I think direct messaging is still gonna be a thing. Now, like email is still the most common way to do like externally facing messages between businesses and businesses. Like maybe like Slack or Teams or some other tools are getting used a lot internally as opposed to like emailing internally. But I think that as long as email is the external channel, like you're still gonna be able to get messages through. And if it moves to something else, I'm still gonna like you'll still be able to get messages through. Um, so I'm not super concerned on that front. I'm more, is it just going to get noisier and noisier and noisier and noisier? Because what's quite interesting at the moment is like lead lists. With the Apollo shutdown, everyone's like, oh, lead lists are going to get more expensive and harder to get. And now I'm just seeing free lead lists everywhere of like, hey, here's 10 million leads or 100 million leads or 200 million leads. Like we've downloaded the whole of LinkedIn Sales Navigator, we have it for free. So I'm like, are we getting to the point where like leads are also getting to be free as well? And then is the noise just going to get so much that it's not really viable? I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah. I think with the whole like AI speaking to AIs, I think the only thing that well the major thing that the AIs are going to do in 2026 is like potentially start to filter through the sort of spam emails. So if you're just writing like an outreach, well, a form of outreach, let's say it's called email, and it's just very blanket. You're not mentioning like any numbers, case studies, clients, like any proof, anything that's like specific to you that won't be that doesn't look generic. Like the generic ones are just gonna go, just gonna get filtered straight away, and you'll probably just land in the promotions or the spam before you even get in the inbox. So I don't think well, I think that's the first thing to sort of combat in 2026. And then I think where everyone's, I think like you were saying in 2025 and maybe 2024, everyone started using tools like Clay and, tried to personalize their outreach to like the nth degree. But then now everyone else is pulling that same sort of Clay enrichment information and putting it into an email. So for example, the classic one would be you mention someone's LinkedIn post and it's like, hi John, I'm just reaching out because I noticed you posted X. Like that now has become default where, 4 or 5 years ago, like, hey, mentioning the company name was like the default. Now it's like mentioning that someone's LinkedIn post is like default. So you imagine if you're reaching out to like a large CEO where, they're getting 5 of those emails a day. It's like, yeah, I just posted that. And, or funnily enough, everyone else is mentioning the fact that I just posted on LinkedIn. So it's becoming default. So it's like, how do you navigate not doing things like that to sort of put yourself in that bucket of, being looking and sounding the same as everyone else?
Yeah. I think like the stimulus fatigue is it's always going to be a thing where like something will work, AI personalized first lines, right? And then people will use it. And so then more of that stimulus will go out into the marketplace. And so the market will then get some sort of fatigue to that stimulus where it's going to be like, they now associate, hey, I saw this post on LinkedIn with that's just a sales pitch.
Yeah.
And so the stimulus just essentially fatigues or becomes less stimulating over time. And that's like, I've thought about this as well. Like that's the high of just chasing the next shiny outbound method, right? And I don't know if that's like a shiny object syndrome of sorts where you're never going to build a system that actually works because the system itself is reliant on this shiny new mechanism, and that thing ultimately will never stay shiny and new. And so you always have to find the new thing. And I am not experienced enough in the world, we could say marketing world or world, to know if like that is the game of marketing where you have to cut through the noise. So you're always trying to find a new thing, or if the game is to figure out an offer that resonates so well that it doesn't matter if the stimulus is novel or shiny or new. And if you're looking at it through that paradigm, you'd say like the foundation of what you're trying to do is find messaging that resonates. And then on top of that, you can layer on these shiny new AI personalized this, sending a personalized video, doing personalized voicemail drops. You can layer on these things, but it's not the foundation. Or is it the other way, which is like the goal of the outreach is to cut through the noise and the messaging matters less? And this kind of ties into my idea that like, you could write bland messaging and send it to them via carrier pigeon and they're going to read it and reply because the method is novel and new and shiny. And so it's like, are you on the roller coaster or the Ferris wheel of just trying to find new, novel, shiny new stimuluses to test and try? And I also think that like as an agency, you get false signals because clients want to pay you for new shiny things. No client is like, hey, I want to pay you to find the messaging that resonates. They're like, oh, I saw you did this super like sexy thing where you did this like AI transcribe my voice and then send it. But like that's what they care about, and so that's what you sell them, and so you get like high on this idea that these new shiny things are the important things. When you're doing your own outreach, you're just trying to find messaging that gets replies. And it's probably what you should be doing for clients. Yeah.
Yeah, I think well, I've looked into this, like what's actually going to happen next year, like what do we predict? And it's like, I think becoming a lot more personalized in terms of like the groups who you're going after. Like instead of sending, 1,000 people, putting 1,000 people into a lead list and then having like a 5-step email sequence, what Google and Microsoft now, they've been a lot more strict. And what I've sort of transitioned into doing is just having a 2-step email sequence, because there's some statistics on this where by the third and the fourth sort of bump up and the follow up a couple of years ago, that would actually help you increase response rates. But at this point in time in 2025, it's actually hurting your response rate. So you do the first form of outreach and then you follow up with them. So you follow up with them by a second email a couple of days later. But as you go and do that sort of third follow-up and the fourth follow-up, you're just going to get more marked as spam. So then next time round, if anyone from your company or that domain that you've actually reached out to, you're just going to probably get blacklisted and you're going to get sort of marked into spam. So it's like trying to navigate that. It's like like you were saying, just find the messaging that works, do a simple campaign targeting a very specific group, and then maybe if you don't get a response, you might wait a couple of months and then go back round to them again. Instead of just like trying to hammer it home for like weeks and weeks and weeks, having like a 15-step email sequence, just have like, a short sequence and then move on to the next sort of group.
Yeah. I think we've pretty much always only sent 2 steps. And I think it's kind of, there's 2 reasons behind it. One is exactly what you said, which is the positive response rate to spam getting marked as spam, right? And just like for context, Google and Microsoft, one of their leading indicators for if your email account is spam is if your emails get marked as spam, right? So like, depending on the terms that you're looking at, like you might be thinking spam emails is unsolicited bulk emails, right? And so those are essentially what they're looking at. Is it unsolicited? Have you emailed this person before? You've got no previous history because you're doing cold email. Okay. Is it in bulk? Right. And this is where it's like, are you spin taxing your email? Like, this all comes back to the definition of what spam is. But then at its heart, spam is what people think is spam. And so if you get marked as spam a lot, you will be spam. That it's literally what it is. So you want to lower that as much as possible because you're going to have to just rotate out your inboxes and it's going to cost you money, essentially. So that's one part of it, like the practical part of I don't want to have to rotate out these inboxes that frequently, so I'm only going to send 2-step emails. The second part, and I think this is extremely important if you're an agency, is there is a possibility of doing brand damage for your clients. And like no one talks about this. No one talks about it because they don't want to be associated with that. But it's like I like getting cold emails. You probably like getting cold emails as well because you're in the game and it's interesting. But some people don't, and that's okay. And so you are significantly more likely to do some brand or reputation damage if you email them 7 times than if you email them twice. Like no one is going to go and leave a Google review on your website and be like, you emailed me once. Like they're not going to do that. But if you have like a 9-step email sequence, like you might get the wrong Karen to go and like leave a comment, and then your client's going to be hitting you up being like, hey, we need to shut this down. So that's the other side of it. That it's like, if you send a shorter email sequence, you're not going to have any of these actual blow-ups because it's just 1 or 2 emails. And so if you're acting on behalf of other people, like you just need to keep that in mind. And it's not worth the stress, honestly. Like,
Yep.
that's, I think that lots of people are also coming to this conclusion. Like, I don't see lots of long email sequences. And like, if I ever mark someone as spam, that's because I've received like 19 emails from them. And I'm like, guys, chill it out. Like, I'll get like the breakup email with like a meme or some shit. Like at email 19, I'm like, guys, this is not it.
Yeah, I had someone send a picture of a bare foot saying just getting my foot in the door. Like, yeah, I'm just like, yeah, I mean, that's crazy. I mean, it depends on what your ideal target audience is. If it's a, 20-year-old, maybe that might flow well with them, but yeah, probably not someone in their 30s and 40s who is a CEO, for example.
Yeah. In terms of the agency space, I think that a few things are going to happen. I think a lot of the agencies are going to try and work with better and better quality avatars as a way to grow their business. So by that, I mean charge higher and higher prices and work with bigger and bigger companies doing better and better quality services. And by quality services, I mean going from sending 20,000 emails a month per client to sending 200,000 emails a month per client, going from scraping lists in this way to scraping lists in another way, which costs more money because you have to do more enrichment, going from single channel to omni-channel, layering on other services. Because as an agency, it's pretty hard to make money working with very small companies unless you are extremely good at it. And that's where you look at like Leadbird, Cleverly, like these companies which can handle 250, 500, 1,000 of these very small businesses. And they've got their operations to a tight enough point where they're going to be able to outcompete you on price. So it's like, if you're a small agency coming up, probably don't expect to make much money working with other small companies, but you can use it as a way to understand the game. And then from there, you can either make the call like, hey, are we going to like be the king of systems here and get our costs to a point where there's enough net margin to actually run a business here? Or are we going to move towards the like 5K, 10K, 15K, 20K, 40K a month, like revenue per client? And we're kind of going towards the avatar base, like essentially severely increasing prices and severely increasing the product. And we're either looking to do that on like fat retainer models or base plus rev share if we think the business makes sense. Because what we're finding is like, well, what I'm learning, and again, like I'm going to look back on this in 10 years and be like, fuck, I knew nothing. But the goal is to just set up as many win-win partnerships as possible. Like every time you're trying to sell someone, you're trying to set up a win-win partnership. Like it has to be a win for them and it has to be a win for you. And if you're not making enough money on the client, e.g. it's not big enough win for you, it's also not going to be a big enough win for the client because you're not going to be able to perform in the way that they need you to perform to deliver the results. And like acquisition's hard. Like no one says it's easy. And if they say it's easy, then they probably don't know what they're doing. So it's hard. And so it needs to be a win-win for both of you. And so ideally, I think we're setting up win-wins where like we generate them revenue and we get a cut of the revenue and that makes sense. But otherwise, like charging small amounts of money per client is not gonna, it ends up not being a win-win for both of you. It's kind of what we're finding.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm with you in the boat where it's hard, from the agency standpoint, if the client's not paying you, it's not, they're barely covering the costs in terms of just doing like one form of outreach on email. How are you going to cover doing the multi-channel approach, which always gets better results? Like if you're reaching out just on email versus if you're doing email, you're doing video and you're doing LinkedIn, like there is costs that are incurred when you actually go and do that. So, if you can work with, a larger client who's paying you more, obviously it's a win-win partnership. You're going to be all in and probably doing like a multi-channel approach. This is what we do. For example, we do, LinkedIn outreach, email outreach, and then some of our clients will incorporate doing video outreach as well. So going back to like the 2026 predictions, I think that's where people are going to win. If you're doing sort of any lead generation, any B2B lead generation, so like cold outreach, you're going to outperform someone who's just doing email versus, if you're doing email, LinkedIn and video. I saw some statistic recently. It was like, if you do LinkedIn, email and video combined, so like your multi-channel approach, it outperforms just email by like 8x, sorry. That was off profit outreach. And it makes sense as well because like if some people are just not active on certain platforms, some people get absolutely slammed with emails and you might have actually had like a good message that resonated but they just haven't seen it, or the AI has now filtered you into some sort of folder. So yeah, I think like you're stacking the odds in your favor if you can do a multi-channel outreach, and those things take time to actually set up and actually execute.
Yeah, so for us, what we're finding is cold email and YouTube is like a really well-aligned product. So I think like our hero product moving into 2026 will be like YouTube for the client, like a video a week, 4 videos a month, plus cold outbound. And I'm thinking like 50,000 cold outbounds, like emails a month, plus LinkedIn outreach. How do you, and we do personalized videos on our outbounds, and we're going to be testing personalized landing pages on all the outbounds. How do you tie in your cold outbound with your LinkedIn? Because I haven't solved this yet. Because let's say if you want to do 50,000 outbounds a month for a company via cold email, and then you've got LinkedIn limits where you can connect with 30 people a day per account, how do you like set that up so that goes well together?
Yeah, so in that standpoint, we start with LinkedIn as the main thrust of the outreach, and then we use email to actually go and follow up. But if you're doing like 50,000 outreaches on email, you're going to struggle to follow up with all those prospects on LinkedIn. Well, all of them. You might get through a certain amount of them, but not all of them. So what you'd have to do is just use different LinkedIn profiles to do that follow up. So it would probably work a lot better if you're doing that large of a volume. So you're sending out 50,000 emails a month for a company and you want to actually do the multi-channel approach, you're probably going to have multiple LinkedIn accounts because you're capped out at like 200 connection requests a week. Anyway, you're going to have multiple people on like the SDR team or the BDM team to actually go follow up with those prospects. So yeah, it's a bit of a tough one, which, to be fair, the YouTube strategy probably works better in that standpoint because you can have like an evergreen video and you can direct people over to there from an email. So then they're going to see you from an email potentially, and then maybe go over to your YouTube and vice versa.
Yeah, that my theory is, and I think it's going to make more sense at higher volumes. So send a personalized landing page, and then at the bottom, on the second part of that, I'm just going to embed like the key hero YouTube videos, because it's a percentage of people are going to watch them. Like if we do 1 million sends a month, like there might be, I don't know, let's say out of 1 million, 1,000 people start a video a month, which is definitely enough of a signal for YouTube to then start recommending those videos to their audience, or at least recommend some other content to people who have definitely started it. So you're going to start to flywheel the outbound with inbound at that point. And then I don't know, I know with like Sender or with lots of these tools, you can build out like triggers. So someone's gone to the page, now let's send them a connection request on LinkedIn and then move it that way. So I'm thinking like, does it make sense to set up the LinkedIn such that we're just trying to connect with people that have already made it to the landing page of the video, because now the volume is going to make a lot more sense. Or if we're going to treat them as like separate channels, but then like in the eyes of the client, yeah, maybe that's just going to lose some of its potency. When you're thinking about omni-channel, are you thinking about one prospect, multi-channels to hit that one prospect, or just using multiple channels to hit any prospect?
So yeah, I was talking about an omni-channel approach to reach out to one prospect, but how I would look at it is, and this is exactly what I think is going to go off in 2026 with outreach, is like using the triggers to actually reach out to people. So yeah, you can do cold email. It's like infinite. You can send as many as you want every single month. But if someone performs an action, like they click on a link or they actually respond to you, you can, instead of having to do it manually where you go and connect with the prospect, there will be a certain trigger that you can set up where that's done automatically. So, because for example, on LinkedIn, like I said, you can only send 200 connection requests a week. So you don't want to be burning through those people where they're just cold leads and they haven't even opened your email, let alone responded. So I think the best approach is to actually, someone clicks on a link or they actually open an email or they respond. That's when you set the triggers to actually go and connect with them on LinkedIn. And then from there, like a little bit more engrossed into like your ecosystem. They can look at your profile, they trust you a little bit more, and then they might go over to YouTube or something like that. Obviously, that's a whole nother ball game in itself. But it is tough as well. Like if you're thinking about like, if you're a business owner and you're thinking, right, I need to go and create a YouTube channel, and then I need to set up my cold outreach, and then, how do I stand out from the crowd where everyone else is just sending emails? Maybe I should be doing videos. Should I be creating personalized landing pages and things like this? Like it's all a bit of a whirlwind, and then let alone all the sort of tools like Clay and things like that you've got to do. So yeah, it's going to be tough to navigate if you're trying to set it up on your own. But I think, just looking at it like holistically, if you can reach out to people on different channels where they've shown a bit of interest and they're clearly interested in what you have to offer, you're going to have a higher chance of them, closing or booking a call with you if you can touch base with them on different channels. If you and it sort of goes back into Google's 7-11-4 rule. So they did some research over like 10 years of buying habits, and they basically said that it takes someone to watch 7 hours of content across 11 different touch points, and I can't remember the 4 point now. I think 4 different channels for them to actually go and purchase it from you. So if you think about the last time you purchased something, you might have been scrolling on Facebook or Instagram, and then you see an ad, and then you might go onto their profile, and then you might go onto their YouTube channel or something like that, and then you might get hit with an email. There's all these different touch points. So I think you're up against everyone else who's trying to do the same thing. So if you can actually be across different channels, that's obviously going to help you increase your results.
is a thought just popped into my mind, which is like, I'm building this email list. Should I just be automating connecting with anyone that signs up to my email list on LinkedIn? And I'm like, yes, I definitely should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I there's a few things that I'm wary of. I think that I don't know how you got into the space, but like I got into the SMA world through Sam Ovens' Make Money Online, essentially YouTube back in the day. And it definitely was in like late 2024, early 2025. It felt like the Make Money Online space was cold email. And then through last year, it kind of moved to like the AI agency model. And I think there's probably going to be the AI agency model for the next 6 months is going to be the main thing the kids are doing. And then it's going to move to some other model. Um, so I have a feeling that less people are going to be getting into the space in 2026 than got into the space in 2025. Um, that being said, I know that like Gen Z um, is probably like the most entrepreneurial generation that we've ever had because of, I don't know why, but I'm going to say because they see people online.
Yeah, no, I was thinking like with a lot of these businesses that are popping up and people, trying to make money, it's with AI, essentially that they need to solve one of two problems, which is make someone more money or save them money. And if you think about like the AI thing, like, yeah, you might have an AI business, but it might be lead generation driven. So you're basically just using AI to generate leads, which is, for people like us, we do that anyway. Like use, Clay to actually go and find leads, which is using AI and it's enriching the data. So you could technically call yourself an AI lead generation business. And I think it's just going to become, like you say, over the next 6 months, it's going to become the norm. Like if you're not using AI, in particular as an agency, like you will be left behind. Or if you're doing any kind of services which is digital and you're not using AI, you will be left behind. So instead of coining yourself as like an AI business, I just see it as like you're either solving a problem. So for me, I help businesses generate leads. Yeah, we use AI, but it's not the sort of main messaging that I'm going with because I feel like that messaging, the potency of that messaging, where you say, yeah, we use AI, like people like the shiny object syndrome, that potency is going to go away. And if you've been able to nail using AI within your product or service, then that's how you're going to exceed.
Yeah, it's also like, and I don't know how far this analogy stretches or even if it's accurate, but like obvious use of AI is like, let's say making graphics. Like you can go and use like Midjourney or whatever to make. But like I'm relatively tech confident, but if I wanted some good graphics to be made, I'm still going to hire a graphic designer to go and use the AI for me, right? Because I'm not that deep in those specific AI tools, and I know that like, yeah, I could do some prompts, but I'd still probably have some like AI ick associated with it, and somebody else could tell. And so humans are going to get better and better at telling what's high quality and what's not. And if you want a high quality thing, you're still going to hire a graphic designer. And it's the same with like using AI in lead gen. Like, yeah, someone can go write a AI personalized first line, but it's not going to work because you still need to, as it gets easier to do, humans get more and more competent at sniffing out what's good, legit, genuine, and not. And so you're still going to have skilled people in the space to be able to operate them, at least for the foreseeable. And maybe this will change, and you can just go into ChatGPT and say, make me a $10 million a year business. Okay, cool. Run it for me. Cool. Here's my bank account. Cool. But if we get to that point, like it's all over anyway. So like, I don't see it. It's like we're struggling about like, yeah, yeah. Because part of it is like, it's a little scary being at the tip of the spear because you can see what's coming. But then the other part is like, most people can't see what's coming because they're not at the tip of the spear. So you're actually ahead of everyone. So it's like, oh, is AI going to take my job or my role or change the industry so drastically? Maybe, but you're in the best position to deal with it because most people are just not aware about what's going on at all. And like, you talk to lots of business owners who are not aware about what's going on at all, and they make way more money than us. So it's like, yeah, maybe it doesn't matter how aware where you are. Like, maybe there's deeper things at play around making money.
Yeah, 100%. I was going to ask you like, what's your bold prediction for? I would say the second half. So Q3 of 2026 with like, what do you think's actually going to stick with doing, cold outbound lead generation? What's going to be like the number one thing that you're going to be obviously implementing at the start of the year? And then you think, yeah, this is actually going to
It's
work.
a good
Get
question.
us a lot more results
I
by Q3 once you've tested it.
I think being able to turn everyone treats outbound as direct response marketing. And I think there's a play where it can be direct response marketing and brand building. And because we all understand like 97% of your market isn't ready to buy now, right? And so when you're doing outreach, you're essentially saying, hey, I got this thing, do you want to buy it? And then maybe you have some lead nurture process which captures them for a long, maybe, if you're good at what you fucking do. And most people don't even have that. They're like, oh, this bad lead didn't want to buy, bad lead didn't want to buy, bad lead didn't want to buy. They're not like, okay, this one's like a 2-year nurture and this is how we do it. Besides that, is there a play for the cold outbound to also push people into a longer term nurture? And like, I know that people have tried and failed this kind of in the past where they're going with like, hey, instead of asking for a sale, I'm just going to do like a lead magnet and then going to go into my email list and I'm going to nurture them for a long time and I'll do this. But I'm more thinking about it with like personalized landing pages, or if your outbound is taking them to another asset, let's say these personalized landing pages, how valuable is it to put a pixel on those pages and then spend $2 a day retargeting them and sending them to your YouTube channel, or sending them to something else where they have to download it and sign up to your email list?
Yeah.
Or how valuable is it embedding YouTube videos into this personalized landing page that you built for them? Because you have to like use AI to say like, hey, which is my most valuable asset or YouTube video to this particular prospect? And then at the bottom of the thing you say, hey, this video I think is going to be a perfect match for you. And then if you send enough volume, are you going to start to be able to flywheel that effect? Because I think if you can, that is a cheat code for sure.
Yeah. I think it depends on how far in the future you're looking, because a lot of people, obviously in particular, like the people that we work with, they want results now and fast. But if you can look into the future and go, okay, well, yeah, I'm more than happy to wait sort of 3 to 6 months before we even see anything, before we even see any results, which is generally like if you're running paid ads, generally you want to give it a sort of a 3-month run rate anyway, so you can test and you can see what works and what doesn't. But yeah, like if you can incorporate that with doing cold outreach, like a prime example would be, we've done this a couple of times and we're starting to do this a bit more with our clients, is instead of saying like, hey, jump on a call, let's have a sales call, we do the outreach, we're saying like, hey, register your interest for this, or do you want to join the wait list because we're about to launch X, Y, and Z. So at that point you'd be using, just to break it down, like you'd be using cold outreach to basically not sell someone and not trying to like ship a lead magnet. You're basically saying like, hey, we're about to launch this, we thought you'd be a great fit, do you want to sign up for this? And then we'll let you know about when we're going to launch this in the future. And then, so it's a micro commitment, whereas to jump on a call, a booked call, is like a very large commitment, especially if you're reaching out to like a business owner. They don't want to take time out of their day. But if you can ask someone for like a micro commitment, and that micro commitment could be anything, like you were saying, it could be watch a YouTube video, it could be watch a case study or something like that, something that's not going to eat away into their day. I've come to the conclusion more about like, if you can just offer someone, try and get someone to just commit like micro compared to actually book a call, you're going to have a higher chance that they're going to be a warmer lead when they are ready to go and have a call with you. So it's like, how
I agree.
is that? And we've moved along 2026 when
Away from
you're doing outreach, so you all don't just sound like
for
everyone
this
else.
exact reason. It's like, I think I got too married to like the call booking rate, and like all campaigns need to have a good call booking rate, and that's because that's how we grew our business. But when I talk to bigger businesses that have made way more money than us and how they generate leads, they care far more about like how much money they make from the leads and how many calls they got booked, obviously. All right. And so I'm almost like very happy to sacrifice the call booking rate if it gets more qualified calls. right? The people that do commit are qualified. And to do that, it's probably something more along the lines of what you said, where it's like, for example, we've got a client, their LTV is $1 to $3 million, and they've got like this little SaaS product on the side that they're willing to offer for free, and then a percentage of them will convert into their big things. And they're like, yeah, we've got a deal closed. Okay, fantastic. So it's like, yeah, makes way more sense.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we do a similar. So with one of our clients, I would say 60 or 70% of the strategy for doing cold outreach is it's not trying to sell, it's not trying to do anything. It's we're basically doing outreach campaigns saying like, hey, we're running this 40-minute webinar, which is literally perfect for you because you're the exact job title that it is designed for. It's going to help you make more money. All we do is we just send like one email. Sometimes we might do a follow-up, or we'll follow up on LinkedIn, but it's literally like, hey, we're running this webinar. Do you want to join? Knowing full well the webinar is like a month in advance, and then they've got to do the webinar. They've got to join the webinar, and then we've got to like approach them after the webinar. So like they're thinking like 3 months in advance here, thinking, okay, well, yeah, I know it's going to cost us money to spend, running cold outreach campaigns, and we're not going to get a booked call, but we know for a fact that there's going to be a certain amount of people that actually demo the product because it's a SaaS product.
And
3
like,
months down the line, they're happy with that. So it just depends on like
yeah,
the
it's
time,
interesting.
I
Like,
guess.
I'm still learning heaps about what actually makes money. What actually makes money, and I think that the bigger the client, the more they pay you, the more you get into bed with actually solving the problem, because the problem isn't as surface level as we all like think it is. And like they're not paying you enough to actually solve the problem. Like, I don't know how many of like the calls you listen to, but like if you're booking in calls, like you should go and listen to the last 20 calls you booked in and be like, like, I understand why the client's annoyed, but like all these people are miscalibrated for what this call's about because of what I said in the email to try and get them on the call. And you're like, oh, but the call booking rates and the campaigns are good. I'll screenshot and post it on LinkedIn and try and get clients. Like, yeah, it's not the reality. So like, we've got a client that we're doing rev share with, and I have changed the copy to make it less appealing, and they're already saying that it's going better. But like, you wouldn't know that. Like, we wouldn't have come to this conclusion if we were just looking on the outside and be like, well, our job's to get you calls.
What do you mean by less appealing? Do you mean like it's just more specific to that job title, like someone in that company? It's like it sounds a bit niche.
We moved away from saying, this is an M&A firm. We moved away from saying we have a buyer looking for a plumbing company in Austin, Texas, to saying we don't have a buyer looking for a plumbing company in Austin, Texas. You probably get hit up by people all the time saying that. We know there's some buyer demand, but like, we're not going to overpromise that. Da, da, da. And if you have been given a price like it's probably too high. It's usually like that approach, and they're like, yeah, these calls are way like less call volume, but we got them, I don't know, 300 leads last month, and they don't need 300. They need like 30 good ones.
Wow.
So, but it makes the numbers less appealing, and the campaigns look like they're doing worse. But like, in the reality, the leads are more likely to result in money, which when you're doing like rev share, that's like a step forward. And when you're doing like pay per call, it's a step back.
Yeah, it is.
So it's like, if you can get everything really aligned where you get paid when they get paid, which only makes sense when you're working with good companies. Don't do you get paid when they get paid if they're a crap company. Like, then no one gets paid. But yeah, then I just find that it aligns you better.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this up here. I don't know how much of this recording is on my mic as opposed to on my laptop as opposed to my headphones, but I appreciate talking to you, Ben.
No worries. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.